Hi everyone, welcome back to Valley View Flower Farm. I'm in my garden at the moment. I just wanted to show you some footage of the wattles which are flowering now, announcing that the fact that spring is not too far away. So I've got 3 different types of wattle here in this is my windbreak garden. It's a bit weedy at the moment. I've got some marshmallow weed coming up absolutely everywhere that I need to get stuck into, and the ducks aren't going to be quiet for me while I speak. But I just wanted to show you the different type of blossoms that you can get with the wattle. And this one over here is quite fine. Absolutely beautiful. They put on such a nice show, and this is my windbreak, and they grow really quickly. So they create quite a dense windbreak. They won't live for long, but they're easily replaced in the garden. This wattle here is quite unusual. It's got little orange pom-pom type flowers. It's called Scarlet Blaze. It's only a small plant yet, and I have big hopes for this. It's always touch and go whether or not some natives will survive in your area. Since we're in such a cold area, some wattles aren't as hardy. Here's another one here. This one's always very good, and I love this one for its purple foliage, the purple tips on the new growth. Absolutely beautiful. And I've used this as cut flower foliage, and it works really well. Such nice delicate leaves, really pretty. And when we talk about natives and whether or not they're endemic to the area, a perfect example of what will grow here is this magnificent tree. If I can show you without falling over. This is a yellow box, and this is quite a specimen. It's huge, and this is endemic to our area, and this is one of the native paddock trees that we have. It has a lot of bird life in it. We have magpies nesting in this every year. But 20 minutes south of us, in an area which is slightly colder, you can't propagate yellow box. It won't grow. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about natives. I did have someone ask a question in my messages on one of my videos in YouTube about learning more about growing natives. I'm no expert. I just know they can be slightly difficult to grow, especially if they're outside their comfort zone. They need good drainage, and they need to be grown in an area that's, similar to where they would naturally occur. I also wanted to show you while we're out and about these jonquils, and the ducks are going to interrupt the video, but I can't help that. These jonquils are beautiful, and they smell amazing. They're no good really for a cut flower. But we found these jonquils. We had an old abandoned cottage that was on the family farm, an old stone cottage that was a ruin. It was basically only the foundations that were left. But every spring, these jonquils would come up, and so we went there and we dug some of them up, and I put them in my garden. And as you can see, they've just gone mad. They're absolutely beautiful. I don't know what they are. If anyone knows what they are, please let me know in the comments. And they just put on such a beautiful display. They're so happy and cheery. I just absolutely love them. They don't last long, the flower itself, but while they're out, every time you go outside, the smell is absolutely divine. So here we are back in the cutting garden, and this is on the southern side of my house yard garden, I suppose you could call it. And things have developed a lot over winter. There's probably about 12 days left of winter to go before it's officially spring. It is actually cold today. It's about 6 degrees now, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 20 minutes south of us here, we've had some snow. So, but overall, the winter that we've had has been quite mild and very dry. So this is my garlic. It's coming up quite well. I've got 2 beds of garlic, and the onions. These are the Egyptian walking onions. I just keep them in all the time. And these are the onions that I planted in a previous video. They actually don't look too bad. It's a bit probably drier than they'd like it. And some perennial onions here. These are the potato onions. They're like a shallot, a very old variety of onion that we've had in the family for quite some time that we like to replant every year. Since my last video, we've been doing bits and pieces. I've actually added roses along this whole bed and along the bed at the other side. Still a lot of work to be done to make the patch a little bit more presentable. But we're getting there slowly but surely. All these roses that I've put in, I think there's one David Austin. Otherwise, they are hybrid teas. There's also some painted roses as well. I put the tags up. I have to write the proper tags of what they all are. These ones, I've put these in because they're just a personal favourite of mine. I love these painted roses. They're not everybody's cup of tea, but I adore them. And the rest are just your standard. So there's Peace, Blue Moon, just a range of colours, but mostly hybrid teas because they're the best for cutting and they have beautiful fragrance. And every rose that I've chosen has to have good disease resistance because I'm not inclined to spray them for black spot, and for the ongoing maintenance that's required. Jude the Obscure is the David Austin rose. So looking forward to seeing that one. They'll do nothing really this year, but maybe next year we might be able to get some cuts off those. So things are starting to bulk up now that the weather has been a little warmer. The bulbs are looking good. We had a recent incident where the sheep were let into the cutting garden and they did chow down on some of my bulbs. I don't think they'll affect the flowering. I think the sheep found that the bulbs weren't to their liking, so they didn't take too much off them. But with the daffodils, I have interplanted with Nigella. You can see the seed coming up through the daffodil bulbs there. And we've got some granny bonnets as well in the bulb bed. But they're a little way off flowering yet. A bit slow the first year, daffodils, I find. And then next year they might flower a little bit earlier. So the straw flowers still look a bit rangy. They've suffered with the cold. They don't look as good as I thought they would. They haven't overwintered as well as everything else has. This has probably suffered the most out of any crop. But I think they'll bounce back once we get some warmer weather. Everything else though looks status. Granny's bonnets. Everything else looks really good. And hasn't suffered too much and is just now starting to put on some growth. Sweet William's doing the best. Really thickened up. Same with the snaps. This is where I planted them really close together to see what happens. I also did the same experiment with the stock, just to see what sort of stems I'd get with them planted really close together as opposed to really far apart. The stock stems are really good. I don't think planting stock really close together creates that much of a difference with respect to height. I mean, the ones that I've planted further apart, I'll show you that in a minute, their stems are a little thicker, but otherwise I think I can cram them in as close as I like and they'll still perform. The only thing I have noticed is I don't like the single stem, the single stock, so if I can eradicate that next time, I will. I mean, it's still pretty, but it's nothing compared to the double flower. We've had the opportunity to add some more mulch to the beds, which is making a difference as far as it not being so muddy. We've had a bit of rain recently and I'm just finding that really helps, and with weed suppression. So this is the cerinthe or the honeywort. It's flowering now. I haven't grown it as a cut flower before. I've grown it as a garden flower. It does get really big. But I'll have to try cutting it and just see how it goes. See whether I like it or not. I'm not sure about this flower. The belly buttons look good. They've really thickened up recently. We've got some Sweet William starting to bud up, getting ready to flower. Everything is looking good. So this is the stock I picked this morning, and like I'm getting really good stems. I mean, I picked it, it's probably too far gone as a cut flower, but I picked it because it had a bit of rain damage, so I'm going to take it inside and enjoy it. But absolutely no difference whatsoever between the stem length, the stem size, with respect to how closely I plant. So this bed was really packed in. A lot of these single ones I'm just going to pull out. And this bed I spaced out well, and I just can't see the difference, so I think cram them in. If you don't grow stock, it's well worth growing just as a garden flower. It's absolutely beautiful, and the smell is divine. When you cut them, 10 days they last in the vase, more if you really look after them. And the whole house, the scent just fills the whole house with that sweet clovey scent, just from one or two stems in a vase. Absolutely beautiful. This is my Foxy Foxglove, thickening up really well. Quite happy with that. It'll be interesting to see how long the stems are, because I think it's quite a short variety, but it flowers in its first year. That's why I planted it. This cat, this is Schultz. Hey, Schultzy. If anyone watches Hogan's Heroes, this cat was named after Sergeant Schultz. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I finally have peonies. I got a little bit worried about these peonies. I've never had success growing peonies. And when I planted these, I had a video about them being planted. The sheep got in and pulled them out, a lot of the plants, and nibbled on the leaves. So I didn't know how they'd fare, but they're going really well. These are the peonies coming up that I got from Gateforth Farm in Tasmania. So really excited to be able to show at least a start of a success with peonies, because like I said, I've never had success before. Schultzy is definitely a farm cat. It's forever playing with the sheep. The sheep playing with Schultzy. Talking of sheep, and I'm not sure whether you can hear me over the wind, but this was the windbreak I put in of proteas and leucadendrons. The sheep got in when my husband left the gate open again, and they actually pulled a lot of these plants out and ate their roots. I did replant them, but I think we've lost a few. Some of them still look okay, but I think we've lost some, which was I was very upset, if I'm honest, because it hit this twice now. He's let the sheep in accidentally. And you know, some of these plants, like my waratahs, which you can't even probably see, I have babied for a long time, and then to have the sheep come in, and they don't really eat them, they just pull them out and eat the roots. Yeah, it's really devastating. This section is under construction. It's going to be a cutting garden, but a garden bed set up of cut flower varieties. It looks pretty daggy at the moment. Those bins need to go. We need a general cleanup. I've got climbing roses to climb all over those fences. But it's a work in progress. Like I said, it's looking daggy now, but hopefully it'll be something worth looking at in the future. And this little yellow car was my dad's. And I don't know if anyone recalls, apparently it was in an ad with Delvine Delaney, I think. I don't know if it was a cigarette ad or like a Winfield ad or what it was. Paul Hogan and Delvine Delaney. I've never been able to find anything on YouTube about the ad, but it's just sitting here. Hopefully we might be able to do something with it, move it out and stick it in the garage. But it's got a little motor and it goes. It just needs some TLC. If anyone has any solutions about how to keep cats out of the garden, we do have 5 cats, but we have a tomcat. It's a wild cat that comes and uses my beds as its personal bathroom, and I'm getting a little bit sick of it, and it's digging up some of my plants. This bed looks empty, but it's actually not. I've grown echinacea from seed, and it did die back over winter, but now it's coming back. And like, if you've ever grown echinacea from seed, it's not easy, especially the fancy ones. And to see them being dug up by a cat, it's a little frustrating. So I've put those timber stakes, I only just did that today, down to sort of dissuade it. And over there you can see, over here, I've put bits of Rio in to stop it digging. And it's not using this bed anymore. Now it's moved on to the other one. So if anyone's got any tips or ideas, please let me know. So thanks for joining me on that quick tour of the garden. Not much happening yet, but spring is just around the corner. And look, if anyone knows, this is Bulbinella. Beautiful winter flowering bulb. Has anyone used this as a cut flower? I might have to try some. I'm not sure whether I cut it, whether the rest will open in a vase or not, but it's absolutely beautiful, very striking. This is my buddleia that I butchered, and hopefully it'll come back. It was getting way too big. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This is the Bulbinella picked and put in a vase, and you can see it's drooped pretty quickly. So I might have to do some more investigation on how this will go as a cut flower potentially. It might need some pre-treatment. Let me know what you think.